Hi guys, so this is Raina and I'm doing a video for the full moon in Virgo, which is happening on Tuesday, February 19th, and this is at 0 degrees of Virgo. And so what I'm going to be doing is picking a few oracle cards. I haven't done that in a while. It just felt right to me, and a couple of them are going to be with a Native American theme, because I was thinking, with the earth element represented with this full moon, this supermoon, that it might be more apropos. And then I'm also going to be picking a tarot card, but it's from the Osho Zen deck. I don't know how many of you have ever seen this deck, or you might own it. I remember back when I was first starting doing these readings, I ordered this deck, I think, fairly early on, but I don't even know if I've ever used them in a YouTube reading before, because when I was first starting out, I really needed that classic representation to make those connections with the cards. And so if you're somebody who is a student of the tarot and you want a tip, I would say to really start with a deck like the Rider-Waite deck, because Pamela Coleman's illustrations are very easy to connect with the meanings, the traditional meanings, because you can always take it from there with your own intuition, but at least having that foundation. And they're very evocative. So I'm sure a lot of people who have watched tarot readers on YouTube have noticed that sometimes they use decks where they might have like a very whimsical theme or a modern theme, but it's hard to make those connections sometimes, even though the art can be amazing. So when we're really trying to connect our emotions, our intuition with cards, it helps to have imagery that cooperates with that. And so now that I'm, pretty, I would call a veteran of tarot reading, I can kind of branch out a little bit and not worry too much. But I'm sure some people watching may prefer the decks that are faithful to the Rider-Waite version. But I found the deck here and I thought, what the heck, And so I'm going to pick that. I'm going to pick a card from that, and then a few of the other, my oracle cards. But first I just want to talk very briefly about the astrology here. So, of course, at every full moon, the sun is in the opposite sign, and that means that it's at 0 degrees of Pisces. So, in the Universal Astrological Wheel, Pisces rules the 12th house. That deals with the subconscious mind, past lives, karmic situations, mental health, versus the 6th house of physical health and work in a tangible sense. So the work that we're doing, not career per se, which is 10th house matters, but the actual work that we're doing, how we work, what our work habits are like, what our schedule is like on a daily basis, and how we manage our time, or somebody like me with Neptune in the 6th house, how we might mismanage our time, if you will, because this is a perfect example of that, using my own placement of Neptune in the 6th house. Neptune rules the 12th house. So this connection between the practical and the spiritual is, evident at the time of this full moon, and we can see how one affects the other. So in other words, if you are somebody who considers yourself a diligent worker, and you might have, if I looked at your natal chart, you might have Saturn in the 6th house, or you might have the sun there, and you're just very you take pride in your work, or you have a very good work ethic. How does that impact your spiritual life? How does that, do you tend to just like neglect that in favor of what you see as productive? And maybe you even look at the, spiritual practices as wasting time. Whereas somebody with, one or more 12th house placements, especially if it's something very influential like the sun, may have a hard time being grounded, okay? So the 6th house is very grounded because it's an earth house, and Virgo deals with physical health. But how does the mind play into our physical health? How does the spirit? So the mind-body connection could be in play here, and also what Virgo represents is purity, and also perfectionism. I should say that too. And the 6th house is the house of diets. So Mercury rules the 6th house and is connected to diets because it's a health-related thing. And sometimes people in the quest for health take things too far. So we look at eating disorders. We look at something like orthorexia, which is a form of, you could even say like it's OCD, talking about being too concerned with purity. And this kind of thing can come up because the full moon can bring awareness on, shed a light on things that have been kind of like, hidden to you perhaps, because you've been focused so much on, a certain aspect of whatever it is your goal is. So for instance, if we're talking about a health matter, and let's say somebody, really wants to clean up their diet, but then they start to, eliminate more and more things to the point where they actually get anxious if they are, they can't have filtered water. If they happen to be out and they need to drink water and they're afraid they're going to poison themselves. So we're not talking about just, making healthy choices. We're talking about taking it to the extreme. And at the time of a full moon, with that opposition from the sun, it does show the, I call it the bipolarity, or the extreme qualities, the extreme polarities that need integration. So, polarities are, when we say polar opposites, we're talking about, obviously, in astrology, we're talking about complementary signs that are 180 degrees apart from one another. But in terms of it on a deeper level, on an energetic level, we're talking about there not being that balance, that middle ground, or even like a sense of incorporating both, like one takes precedence over the other, but never, maybe like a seesaw, they swing back and forth, but they never find a happy medium. And, this is also true how people act when they are not, when they see things very, in a very black and white way. They have a hard time, kind of finding a middle ground. And that I think that ends up hurting people because they, when you are extreme, you're approaching anything from an exaggerated perspective that is unrealistic, that really doesn't really, it's imbalanced. So it's hard to work with. And so the point is that we have to look at these things from a balanced perspective. And I think one of the things when we really talk about detoxing, and this could be coming up for people in terms of their diet, their lifestyle, is also looking at it from the spiritual point of view. And it's like, what do we need to detox from our life that is, not about food or, you know, it's something that affects our physical health, but something that affects our spiritual health. And it could be something that we do, because the 12th house is like our self-undoing. The things that we do that make trouble for ourselves, that you know, where we slip up in life. The 12th house is the house of addictions. So this could definitely be in play here. And the bottom line is that when we're able to see the areas where you know, I think when it's not physical, it's hard to really see these things, when it can be people, places, or things. So people in our life that do not add value, that tend to drain us, that tend to, you know, being challenged sometimes is not bad, because it's not, you know, not having an echo chamber isn't a bad thing. It makes us look at ourselves. But if you are dealing with somebody who just wants to stir the pot, and they're not really looking to understand you, they're almost like questioning your every move, and why do you do this? Why do you do that? Or it could even be a workplace situation, because that is the 6th house too, is your workplace, your co-workers. And so that might be, for some people with full moons, that could be an ending. And by the way, of your own volition. I'm not saying that you would get fired. It could be like a promotion. With the 6th house, though, it's not rank. So if it is going to be something that is increased, it might be like, maybe it's like the amount of work that you're doing at this time, if this is a busy time of the year for your company. But it could just be a work project that you've been dealing with that finally has come to its culmination, and you might reap the rewards from it. So other interplanet placements at this time, Mercury is in Pisces. So Mercury is also in conjunction with Neptune. But I noticed too that there was another transit, Mercury square Jupiter. So this could be in terms of the outer world, that we're being thrown a lot of information at us. This is great for fake news. And what I mean by that is not just like, because with Mercury in conjunction with Neptune, the mind is incredibly receptive to whatever is mentioned. It's not like a practical transit for the mind to function from a linear perspective. When you look at it from a good sense, hey buddy, get a muffler. When you look at it from a positive perspective, it could be that there's a tendency to be very creative and psychic, intuitive, like have an intuitive mind. But in order to process information, I don't think it's going to be the best time for that. And that could be the time when we are presented, or shall I say bombarded, with lots of quote-unquote news that could be exaggerated, could be distorted. And as a result, because we have Mars in conjunction with Uranus, this can also be a time of revolution, a time of, I can't, we're not going to take it. Thinking of Twisted Sister. And so that is one of the things. We've had similar transits like this in the past few years. And I always say, don't be a useful idiot. I sometimes I don't say it like that, but seriously, don't react. You know, act in life. And if sometimes there are times when protests may be exactly what is necessary, but if you're running on emotion, that could be kind of like ginned up by propaganda, because that's what this could be, you know. Mercury square Jupiter could be propaganda. And it's like really exaggerated with Jupiter, with the square to Jupiter. You know, Neptune, even Mercury in conjunction with Neptune, that could be total propaganda too. And it's appealing, because it's in water, it's appealing to you emotionally. So, and if you notice, this is what whoever you think they are doing, is that they're manipulating you, you know, by tweaking your emotions, by getting you to feel sorry for somebody, by getting you to feel angry about somebody or something, and trying to goad you into action. And with Mars in conjunction with Uranus, you're good to go. And there's like this sense of instability around that. Now, luckily, we have this conjunction in Earth, and in fixed Earth. So that's one thing that we've got going for us. But it is at the 1 degree mark. I'm not like, I don't know if it's at the 0 degree or 1 degree. I don't have my ephemeris in front of me, but I think it's at the 1 degree. Oh, duh, it's right here. it's the... Okay, Mars is at 3 Taurus, and Uranus is... Well, here it says Uranus is still at 29 Aries. Oh, yes, that's true, because it's not going into Taurus until... It's not going into Taurus until March. That's true. I do so many readings, like, you know, different time periods, that sometimes I get my, you know, my transits mixed up. So it's close enough to 3 Taurus to be considered a conjunction. And so anyway, I just wanted to put that out there because I think that's very important. Venus is in Capricorn, so we have that earthy element here with the moon and Venus and Mars. Venus in Capricorn can really be looking at things pragmatically. I mean, as I record this, we've already had Valentine's Day. If I had, you know, well, it must have been in Capricorn at that time. So perhaps people that celebrate Valentine's Day noticed that they had a lot of nice gifts given to them by their partner, because an earth sign, for Venus to be in an earth sign, means that people might actually want to buy gifts as tokens of love, in order to kind of symbolize the love or the value that they're placing on that other person. And, oh yeah, one thing that I wanted to state that I thought was very nice is that there's a conjunction between Venus and Saturn. And this is really great for people to, you know, let's say that you're engaged or you want to pop the question or something like that. This is really great because you can feel this sense of like duty, but not in this bad sense. You know, I think of Saturn as duty, but sometimes people are honored to have a certain duty. Like, you know, I think most healthy parents are honored to, you know, have this responsibility towards their children. And this is like towards one's spouse, of like saying, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. You know, I will never cheat on you. I really take this marriage contract seriously, or this love seriously. I mean, we don't even have to talk about a contract, but I think Venus in Capricorn likes contracts. So, because they like structure, you see, and tradition too. So I think that's kind of sweet in a very Might be a very serious way, but taking love seriously to me is not a bad thing. So I think I've pretty much said all I want to say about that. So let's go to the actual cards. Alrighty then. So the first card that I'm going to pick is from the Earth Magic Oracle deck. And the creator of this deck is Stephen Farmer. Does that name ring a bell? I'm going to just read from the back. It says, Stephen D. Farmer, PhD, is a soul healer, shamanic practitioner, ordained minister, and licensed psychotherapist. He is the author of numerous books and card decks and is the host of his own radio show, Earth Magic Radio, on contacttalkradio.com. He makes his home in Laguna Beach, California. Now, why am I reading his thing? Well, he used to be married to Doreen Virtue. And, you know, I happened to glance at her deck, which I don't have on my desk right now. And it was sad, you know, because I really thought I was going to be using those cards, but I've decided to put them to bed or rest or whatever you want to call it. Because, I don't know, you know, it's just too much, you know. The first time around, I thought I'd keep them, but now I think I'm going to... I don't really use your oracle cards too much, to be honest with you. I don't connect to them the way I do tarot cards, so I wish I did more. But especially when I have to read from the booklet, it's a little bit, it doesn't feel like flowing to me. So that's one of the big, if I could find like several decks that had the meaning of the card on the actual card, that would make it a lot better. So, interesting. And oh, you know what? Now that I got that card, I just want to say as I'm pulling these other cards is that Chiron, the day before this full moon, is going into Aries. It has been in Pisces. So when I said childhood, I was thinking of that because I think that when we talk about trauma, which Chiron represents, most of that seems to stem from childhood. And of course, could also be past lives, but in this life, I mean. So I think I'm going to do a separate video on Chiron and Aries, because that might be interesting to explore. Okay. So the one I got for... Oh, I didn't say. This is from the Native Spirit Oracle deck by Denise Lynn. And I got Trickster, and it's great because it's got snow. And where I'm recording, it's winter. So, and we've had quite a snowy winter in Illinois. Okay, so that's the second deck. What else we got here? Now this one, I'm going to show you the back of these cards because they're pretty epic. The Akashic Tarot by Sharon Ann Klingler and Sandra Ann Taylor, and I have Taylor's Energy Oracle deck, so she's already got like a very popular deck out here. So this will be the cards I pick, but I'll show you the back first. The Mandala. I think that might be the Flower of Life, and I got the King of Forces, but I'll hold it up again when I actually... And the fourth card is from the Osho Zen Tarot, like I told you I was going to do. Maybe I'll put, let me see. I'm going to just put it, for some reason I want to put it in the middle there. Alright, which one am I going to get? Interesting. I got conditioning. 15. So I wonder if that's a devil card. Because they have, like, I think that was, they used different terms, and that was another reason why it was so confusing to me. Not only the pictures were different, but the terminology. So let's start with the childhood innocence and what that represents. I wish I could just, prop this up. Maybe I can, so I don't have to hold it. So you can see the picture as I read from the booklet. Okay. The light from the heavens falls upon the children through the rays of the sun that illuminate their presence like a spotlight. The little girl reaches out to these bright beams, and these elements together portray an idyllic childhood activity for many of us who have had the privilege of exploring the natural world. The blanket of lush meadow grass embraces a small pond, which leads to a more distant valley, one that is darker and shrouded by the very clouds that also produce this remarkable play of light. In their exploration of the world, it's inevitable that these children will at some point lose their original innocence. It doesn't have to be a permanent loss, however. We don't need to live in constant fear in anticipation of such an event, nor do we have to reconcile the loss of that state of purity by constantly romanticizing the past and missing out on the present. And so in their explanation, they say, innocence is not simply a lack of guilt or shame, but a quality in itself, one that you naturally possess when you first come into this existence. There are challenges you have faced throughout life that have further shaped your personality and character. You have also likely encountered moments following a disappointment or loss where you turned sour or cynical, and no doubt have had times when layers of anger or fear blocked the flow of your vitality or life force. Yet in spite of all this, there is a core of innocence that you can reawaken by releasing any shame that has covered over the truth of who you are. Take any opportunity to heal this shame and let go of it so you can revisit that state of purity. What was I saying? Purity? Doing so helps you see every moment with fresh eyes and removes the filters that inhibit your light and love from coming forth. You truly are a child of God, so allow yourself to be that. Yeah, sometimes that quest for purity comes from feeling a sense of unworthiness, that somehow something got sullied. Usually it's not like this with these sounds, at least, but it's Saturday night, so I apologize for that. Okay, so yeah, so that's very interesting. I just wanted to make you aware of that and how that might be true for you. I'm going to do the Osho card last, so I'm going to go to the other end and do the Akashic Tarot. We have the King of Forces. So they have in this book, this is the little booklet that goes along with it, and it's not a traditional tarot deck by any stretch of the imagination. There's only 62 cards in here, so it's not going to completely correspond to what you might be used to, but at least there might be some kind of resonance with it. So I'll tell you what they say in here about the description here. A man standing by a stream is surrounded by different animals of the woods. The power of nature is all around him, and the earth below his feet, the water running by, and the star-filled nebula in the sky above. Yet he is a force himself, exerting calming influences on the wolf and the rabbit, which are natural enemies. Upright, this card indicates the presence of a man who has a powerful and positive energy. He comes with good intentions. Gentleness and honesty resonate from him. If you don't know this man yet, his energy will be coming into your life soon. He could bring support for a special project, a work issue, or just your life in general. He may be a possible love interest. So in order to be open to receiving a man of honor, make sure you engage in honoring and being tender toward yourself. For you or a man around you, there could be a position coming in any of the careers natural to the king of forces, such as electronics, astronomy, physics, geology, alternative fuel, any of the earth sciences, and new industries and environmental care. Any activity connecting with earth energy and nature are beneficial to you at this time. Whether you are male or female, this also reveals an important side of yourself. Feel the balance and beauty of nature and know the powerful forces always moving within and around you. It's funny because even if that card doesn't mean anything to you, I think the synchronicity with the earth emphasis, since this supermoon is in an earth sign, is really great. I love that kind of thing. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up is, you know, kings are, I'm assuming this is like a King of Pentacles type of a situation. Not entirely sure, because I you know, it's not going to correspond 100%. But the interesting thing about this is that at this time, with the king being a yang or a masculine energy, this supermoon contains a lot of yin energy, because earth and water signs are yin. And there's a lot of that. We have the Pisces and the Capricorn, and of course the sun in, well, yeah, the sun is in Pisces too, but the Virgo. So that can really, and the Taurus, yeah, the Taurus too. So this is like a combination of the masculine and the feminine, and we do need a balance, don't we? So so that's that card, and then the Trickster. So I'm just gonna let you see it up close, and then I'm gonna put it down. And, you know, this is another deck that's, so it's called Native Spirits. So it's got a Native American theme. And the Trickster is an archetype. I'm not very well versed on Native American spirituality, so I'm just going to shut up right now. Not act like I know what I'm talking about. Okay. Things are not as they seem. Okay, hello. Mercury in conjunction with Neptune. Something that seems bad may be in fact be good, and vice versa. Don't take everything at face value. Look beneath the surface. This card encourages you to try to find humor or gentle amusement in seemingly difficult situations. It also encourages you to have irrepressible fun. Step out of the mold. Your native spirit wants you to know, in indigenous traditions, there is the concept of the tricksters. In Native American traditions, the trickster is sometimes depicted as a wily coyote, but sometimes the trickster is a human called Heoka. There is a lighthearted, fun aspect of the trickster, but there's also the caution to tread carefully because things are not always as they seem. Be discerning. What appears to be a good opportunity may in fact be not. The wonderful aspect of this card choosing you is that it offers the opportunity to step out of old, outmoded ways of perceiving yourself. The trickster allows you to see yourself in an entirely new way and asks you to step out of old routines and habits that might be keeping you stagnant. The journey. It might sound very strange, but the easiest way to activate the energy of this card is to howl like a coyote. If you can, it's even better to do it during the light of the full moon. Synchronicity much. This breaks up stagnant energies and brings in fresh vitality. I just want to share that at one of the, I don't want to call it a yoga studio. I mean, this is a spiritual center where they have workshops and they have like full moon and new moon ceremonies. I attended a full moon ceremony where we were, you know, dancing around howling at the moon. So that's why I was laughing, because I was thinking about that particular time when I actually did that. And so that's really interesting. Okay, so the final card is this tarot card. I mean, it is supposed to be, it's different, and it's called Conditioning, and it's 15. So that is 15 in the Major Arcana is the Devil card. But again, I'm not going to say it until I know for sure. So they have like the definition and then a commentary. And this, I'm assuming, was all written by Osho. If you don't know who Osho is, he's a spiritual teacher who is no longer in the physical, but he's like one of my favorite teachers. And he was a Sagittarius, by the way, and which I am. And I think I really appreciate his approach, because he was, I think it's fair to say that he was a tantric yogi. And so he really did incorporate kind of an unconventional approach to his spiritual, path. And so anyway, let me just read what he says for conditioning. Unless you drop your personality, you will not be able to find your individuality. Individuality is given by existence. Personality is imposed by the society. Personality is social convenience. Society cannot tolerate individuality because individuality will not follow like a sheep. Individuality has the quality of the lion. The lion moves alone. The sheep are always in the crowd, hoping that being in the crowd will feel cozy. Being in the crowd, one feels more protected, secure. If somebody attacks, there is every possibility in a crowd to save yourself. But alone, only the lions move alone. Every one of you is born a lion, but the society goes on conditioning you, programming your mind as a sheep. It gives you a personality, a cozy personality, nice, very convenient, very obedient. Society wants slaves, not people who are absolutely dedicated to freedom. That's a big buzzword with the sign of Sagittarius in particular, but all fire signs in general, is freedom. And even, air signs. Society wants slaves because all the vested interests want obedience. Now, in terms of the... Let's see what it says. I just thought of something. I wonder if I read the wrong thing. No, that is. It's conditioning. I was like afraid that I didn't... Okay. I was like, I almost panicked for a minute there. This card recalls an old Zen story about a lion who was brought up by a sheep and who thought he was a sheep, until an old lion captured him and took him to a pond where he showed him his own reflection. Many of us are like this lion. The image we have of ourselves comes not from our own direct experiences, but from the opinions of others. A, quote, personality imposed from the outside replaces the individuality that could have grown from within. We become just another sheep in the herd, unable to move freely, and unconscious of our own true identity. It's time to take a look at your own reflection in the pond and make a move to break out of whatever you have been conditioned by others to believe about yourself. Dance, run, jog, do gibberish, whatever is needed to wake up the sleeping lion within. Now, I'm trying to see. Okay, Now, I just wanted to see, because I looked at, that was 15, which corresponds to the double card in the, regular tarot. 14, they say, is integration, and that's the Temperance card. And 13 is transformation, that's the Death card. So I do think he is going with the major arcana themes, but he's definitely putting his own spin on it. And, the traditional interpretation of the Devil card is, it's not so much conditioning, but it is bondage. And usually they say to some kind of addiction, sensual appetite. And it's the Devil card because, the devil made me do it. My lust made me do it. My greed made me do it. And greed is a lust for money, So by saying conditioning, I actually think that's very interesting because he's taking it, he's doing what the Sagittarius does so well, is to broaden it, is to, make it more universal. Instead of just about addiction, it's about conditioning, how we are, even like with addictions, if you look at advertisements, they really prey on people's tendencies towards compulsive behavior, like buying something very rashly without thinking, what do they call those, spontaneous purchases, or I can't think of, impulse buys, or preying on people's desire to be seen as sexy or beautiful, what have you, because of the ego. So it really does correspond to that, and I kind of like conditioning better in a sense. So who knows, maybe I'll use these cards more often. But in any case, I really hope that you enjoyed this and that it provoked some thought on how you want to approach this very powerful time and what you want to let go of. And with the childhood card too, understanding your innocence, but also letting go of your story that connects to childhood. Full moons are a time to release. And, depending on where this is falling in your chart, it could point to an area that needs to have a total overhaul. Okay, take care, you guys. Bye.